for clarification, and this is just a little bit of backstory, just so the viewers have more of an understanding as to my feelings for you, because I think that needs to be clear. I need to make my feelings for you very clear. Um, when I first met Christina, I was doing a play. It was a Shakespeare play, and she had come to see her girlfriend, who was in the play at the time. I was acting alongside her girlfriend, and she was the only person in the crowd. It was a free Shakespeare play, open to the public, and anyone
Santa
could.
Monica Boulevard.
Yeah, Santa Monica Boulevard. It was set up in a way where there was no wall on the stage, so you had the interior of the theater, and then you had just a window, a big ass window for passerby to like walk by and watch the show. And Christina showed up, and I didn't have my glasses on. That's what I remember. So I just saw this like blurry figure who just kept on, she was sitting, and then she moved inside, and then she moved back outside, and she just kept on moving around. But it became so clear that you weren't leaving, that you were staying for the duration of the play. And I just couldn't wait for the play to be over so I could run over to you and introduce myself, because I knew, even though I couldn't see you, I knew that I had to get to you, and I had to introduce myself and find out what was going on. With that being said, uh, play ended, and I'm just beelining over to you. And as I got closer to you and your actual image became clear, because I'm nearsighted, um, I fell in love instantly. And that's the truth. It was instant. The minute that you smiled, the minute that you showed me who you were, your genuine, sincere, authentic self, I was just smitten. And it wasn't infatuation, it was just pure love for another human being. And I'd never experienced that love at first sight moment that people talk about, but I experienced it with you. And it has not changed ever since then, 6 years ago.
I want to backtrack to meeting you because for
Mm-hmm.
me, my love for you grew
Right.
and it still is growing. And I think most people would probably say that when somebody says they fall in love with you, like at first sight, it doesn't really last or it's not really rooted in something real. And people have always told me to watch out for that. Like the first night that we had sex, you told me that you loved me.
Before we even had sex.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me I love you and I've always loved you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told that to other people, they're like, watch out for that.
Oh,
Watch
yeah.
out. But I knew where it was coming from because we'd already been friends for 2 years and all of that. But for me, I knew that I felt connected to you when I met you. Like I told you, I felt like we were magnets, but I was in love with somebody. And so I didn't even allow my brain and my heart to go there. I knew I wanted to hang out with you. And there was a little sense of like, is this wrong?
Mm.
Because I was in a relationship. But because I knew that I had boundaries, I thought it was fine. And fast forwarding to when we did have sex for the first time, I knew from the night that we slept together because of the way that we actually slept
Mm.
that night so close,
Mm-hmm.
so just like breathing each other's air. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is really powerful. But I wasn't ready to be in love with you. I hated the idea of having a boyfriend. I did not want a relationship. And so I didn't realize that until months in that I wanted something more with you and something more serious. So I think that because our perspectives came from something so different and my love grew into this feeling for you, that's why I'm attached to the way that it is now, because I want continual growth. That going back feels like backtracking, I think, sometimes when we have arguments about it.
I feel like that's the first time. I'm sure you've attempted to articulate that in the past, but I feel like that's the first time that it's ever landed on me as to your reasoning why you want to remain intimate. Because whenever I have this argument with you, I try to make it sound like really cut and dry. Like, hey, listen, if the reason that we're fighting is because we're intimate, and typically when it comes to intimacy, expectations come along with it where,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm sharing my body with you, and as a result you need to pick me up from the airport every single time I land, and if you're not, then like what's wrong with you, you're doing something wrong, like there becomes, all of a sudden you're no longer just friends. It's like, instead of just being enjoying each other's company and enjoying each other's presence, it's more like, how come you haven't done this? You should be doing this because you're fucking me. And that was the thing I was really trying to avoid when it comes to having a sexual relationship with you, because it's like, the first 2 years that we were spending time together, I didn't have to do shit.
Mm-hmm.
When you had to get work on your knee done and you were looking for a ride, I was happy to show up and take you to the doctors and sit with you in the waiting room, and it didn't feel like an obligation. The moment that it does feel like an obligation and I gotta do something because of some preconceived notion that because we're lovers, now it's like a requirement, that's when I get uncomfortable, and it's just like a natural thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but hearing you understand that, and again, this goes to watching you grow and watching you adapt to the type of person that I am, makes me more invested in working with you and meeting you where you are, because the love comes so naturally for me that, as a result of that, I'm just more so, the priority is like, how can I help you? How can I give you the life that you want to live?